Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really unusual set of sources in front of us today. It's material related to something called Krunch. Looks like excerpts from a video transcript, maybe a standalone text too.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes something utterly mundane, breakfast, and just twists it into something, well, incredibly intense, surreal even.
Yeah, it's quite something. Our job today really is to unpack these sources, to look at the striking, often pretty unsettling imagery and language they use,
Right.
and try to figure out what exactly happens when the everyday act of pouring cereal gets framed like this.
Exactly. Forget your usual thoughts on breakfast. This isn't about nutrition or taste.
No.
These sources use powerful metaphors, vivid descriptions, personification, a whole lot of the unexpected, really, to talk about, well, eating breakfast. It's bizarre.
We'll guide you through it. We'll look at the main themes, the details that really jump out, and try to make sense of what it might all mean when something so ordinary is depicted with such dark intensity.
It's definitely a trip from the kitchen table to somewhere else.
It is.
So yeah, grab your metaphorical spoon, I guess. Let's dive in. Maybe start right at the beginning, the wake-up call, because that's where things immediately get strange.
Okay. Yeah, the material opens with lines that sound, perfectly normal at first glance.
Like what?
We get quotes like, "Guten Morgen, es ist Zeit."
Yeah,
Just, "Good morning, it is time."
standard.
And, "Ihre Cerealien stehen bereit." Your cereals are ready.
Seems completely routine, right? Setting up a typical morning.
Okay, yeah, that sounds harmless enough. So where's the twist?
It comes immediately after. The next line quoted is, Hauen Sie rein. Es gibt keine Grenze, which translates to, dig in, there is no limit boundary.
Hauen Sie rein. That sounds a bit forceful, not just enjoy.
It can be casual, like dig in, but it definitely carries a potential for more aggression, like hitting or shoving almost.
Huh.
And coupling that with, es gibt keine Grenze, there is no limit. That's the real kicker.
No limit. For breakfast. Exactly. It suggests excess, something uncontrolled, maybe even overwhelming. It's not a gentle invitation. It feels more like a push, a command even, into something boundless, maybe even dangerous.
So right away, that normal morning vibe is gone. It's like permission or compulsion to just go over the edge.
Precisely. And the physical sensation described isn't calm either. The text mentions waking up schweißnass, sweaty.
Sweaty, before even getting out of bed.
Yeah, it signals anxiety, maybe dread, right from the start. It's not a peaceful awakening.
Okay, so anxiety, this weird command, then what? Reaching for the bowl?
Right. Ich greife nach der Schale, I reach for the bowl. Simple action. But then the tool, the spoon,
Yeah.
it's described in this incredibly strange way.
How so?
It's schwer aus verbogener Sprache.
Heavy.
Out of bend language.
Heavy. Okay, like a burden. But bent language, what does that even mean?
Well, heavy gives it weight, makes the act of eating feel difficult, maybe laborious. But bent language. Language is how we understand things, how we communicate. If the tool you use to interact with the meal is made of bent language, it suggests the whole way of understanding or engaging with this breakfast is fundamentally twisted, flawed, maybe deliberately distorted.
Wow. So the spoon itself is telling you something's wrong with how you're perceiving this, or how you're meant to talk about it.
Possibly both. It signals a breakdown right at the point of interaction. The reality you're about to scoop up is fractured or corrupted somehow. It's deeply disorienting.
Okay, that's a lot packed into just a spoon. What about the food itself, the cornflakes?
The visual for the cornflakes is just as unsettling. They tanzen wie Fliegen im Licht, dancing like flies in the light.
Flies. Ugh. Dancing flies. That's not appetizing.
Not at all. Flies suggest decay, contamination, right? And dancing implies life, movement. But here it's attached to something repulsive in a food context. It's active, but unclean. A real paradox.
Yeah, deeply unpleasant. What about the Zimties mentioned?
They add another layer. They're im Kreis, in a circle, and then they form an face, formen ein Gesicht.
The cereal forms a face, like looking at you.
Exactly. Instant personification. The food isn't passive. It's actively arranging itself to confront the eater.
Okay, that's creepy. Is it a friendly face? I'm guessing not.
Definitely not. That grins at me, and it has Zucker im Mund, sugar in their mouth.
A grin with sugar. So the sweetness is part of the menace, like it's taunting you.
That's the feeling, yeah. It's not a happy grin. It feels sinister, mocking. The very appeal of the food, the sugar, is part of this unsettling expression.
And does this face, does it do anything else?
It speaks. It gives a direct command. Sagt, is und garin zu Grund has, eat, and go to ruin to the bottom.
Eat, and go to ruin. So the food itself is telling you to destroy yourself by eating it.
Explicitly. The repetition, eat, Eat, eat is relentless, urgent, and get it to grund means perish, be ruined. It's not nourishment, it's a path to self-destruction, commanded by the grinning cereal face.
Wow. Okay, so just in these opening moments, waking up anxious, a weird command, a heavy spoon made of broken language, dancing flies, a grinning face in the cereal telling you to eat yourself into ruin.
Yeah.
This isn't just a weird dream. It's framing breakfast as this incredibly threatening, almost hostile encounter right from the get-go.
Absolutely. The familiar is completely redefined as menacing and potentially harmful. And this intensity, this sense of confrontation, it only escalates as the sources continue.
Yeah.
We move from this initial strangeness into what feels like, well, open warfare at the breakfast table.
Warfare. Okay, how does it get there?
Well, the descriptions start incorporating themes of conflict, violence, decay more overtly. Take kava, the chocolate powder.
Yeah.
It traps dickweed, drips thick like memory lacquer.
Memory lacquer.
Yeah.
That sounds heavy, sticky.
Exactly. Lacquer coats, seals, preserves. So memory here isn't just a thought. It's this thick, burdensome substance coating everything. Like the past is this inescapable, sticky layer infused into the meal itself, maybe obscuring the present, weighing it down.
So the breakfast is literally steeped in old, maybe unpleasant memories.
That's the sense. And the kitchen itself, the setting, it gets a horrifying description.
Worse than memory lacquer.
It's called a grave.
The kitchen is a grave. The heart of the home.
Directly compared to a grave, but with a strange detail. It's voll ausgeleuchtet, fully lit up.
Fully lit, like clinically bright or under interrogation lights.
Could be either. It suggests exposure, maybe sterility, or that the grim events are happening under a harsh spotlight. There's nowhere to hide, even in this grave-like space.
Okay, that's unsettling. A brightly lit grave for a kitchen.
And even the passive elements aren't passive. The shadows in this room, they nuspern, whisper, mushlen, crunch, whisper, murder.
The shadows, crunch, and whisper, and murder.
Yeah. Shadows, which are just absences of light, are given these actions. Crunching like eating, whispering like secrets, and outright murdering. The very atmosphere is filled with the sounds and actions of violence and clandestine plotting.
So the danger isn't just the food, it's the room itself. It's hostile.
It seems entirely hostile. And this leads directly to the physical fight with the food. The speaker says, Ich beiß in die Flakes. I bite into the flakes. Normal enough.
Bleh.
Doch sie beißen zurück. But they bite back.
The flakes bite back, seriously.
That's what the source says. The food isn't just resisting, it's actively attacking the eater.
And does it hurt?
Oh, yeah. The consequences are described brutally. Zunge zerschnitten, tongue cut open, and the lemon split, the lips split.
Cut tongue, split lips. From eating cereal, that's not just crunchy, that sounds like eating glass.
It's depicted as serious physical injury caused by the food. It makes the act of chewing incredibly dangerous, painful.
So the food is literally fighting you, wounding you.
And then the sources just state it plainly, removing any doubt about the metaphor. Frühstück is Krieg. Breakfast is war.
Just says it outright. Breakfast is war.
No ambiguity. The entire meal is defined as combat.
And does this war metaphor extend further?
It does. Every calorie consumed is called a bomb. A bomb.
Calories are bombs. So the energy, the nutrition, is reframed as destructive potential.
Exactly. What should nourish is presented as potentially harmful, explosive.
And you mentioned the crunching sounds earlier.
Right. The sound of eating, the crunch, gets translated into this visceral soundscape of violence.
Attack, attack, attack. That's not just crunching. That sounds like an assault. Maybe screams.
It really does. It collapses the sound of eating into the sound of battle and suffering. The familiar crunch becomes an explosion or a cry of pain.
So this whole section paints breakfast not just as weird, but as this active, violent, painful battle. The food fights back, injures you, the calories are bombs, the sounds are screams.
It completely subverts the idea of a gentle start to the day. It's a confrontation, potentially deadly, where even the food is an aggressive enemy. It fundamentally contradicts how we think about eating.
That's incredibly intense, but you mentioned sentience, that the food isn't just fighting, it's aware.
Yes, that's the next disturbing layer these sources add. Beyond the physical combat, there's this idea that the food is watching, judging, possessing a kind of malevolent awareness.
Watching you? How?
Well, it singles out the Smax Frosch character, you know, the frog mascot from a cereal brand.
Okay.
And it says this frog stares, mischen women got, At me like a god.
Like a god. That's powerful, but probably not a friendly god given everything else.
Precisely. The source immediately defines the nature of this godlike stare. It's a look aus Crack, Zucker, and Toastlich Pot. Out of crack, sugar, and most devilish pot.
Crack, sugar, and devilish pot. Wow, okay, so addiction, the food substance itself, and pure evil.
That seems to be the mix. Crack suggests this intense destructive addiction. Zucker is the literal ingredient, the sweetness, but framed negatively. And Teuflischstamm pot is explicitly malevolent, corrupting. So the food's power is chemical, physical, and inherently evil.
So this cereal mascot is like a god of addiction and corruption staring at you.
A disturbing image, isn't it? And despite this, the eater keeps trying to eat. Ich kaue und kaue, I chew and chew.
Trying to break it down, overcome it.
Seems like it. But doch nix wird weich, but nothing becomes soft. The food remains hard, resistant. It won't yield.
Why not, does it say?
It offers a really chilling explanation, shifting the focus inward. Denn was dich zerstört, bleibt innerlich gleich. Because what destroys you stays the same inside.
Whoa. So the food stays hard because the destroying element is actually inside the eater, and that doesn't change.
That's the implication. The food's resistance isn't just physical. It mirrors an internal, unchanging state of destruction or brokenness within the person eating. The meal becomes a mirror to inner damage.
That's heavy, so the problem isn't just the food, it's you.
Or an interaction between the two. This internal connection is reinforced by how the milk is described.
The milk? What's wrong with the milk? Besides the Kaba memory lacquer earlier.
Well, the plain milk isn't plain. Die Milch ist nicht weiß zu machen. The milk isn't white. It's matte and magnetic.
Not white, matte, like dull, and magnetic, pulling you in.
Yeah, it rejects the image of pure white milk. Matte suggests opacity, dullness, and magnetic implies this unseen, maybe unnatural force. A pull.
Okay, weird milk. What else?
It gets even stranger. This milk, klebt an den Wänden die Schuld energetisch, sticks to the walls like guilt, energetically.
It sticks like guilt. Guilt is a physical substance now. Sticking to the walls?
That's the image. Guilt isn't just felt, it's tangible, adhesive, coating the environment, charged with energy. It's intrinsically linked to the milk, suggesting the meal either contains or evokes this overwhelming, sticky guilt.
That's a terrifying way to think about guilt, or milk.
And the milk becomes fully alive. Sie atmet, sie lebt, it breathes, it lives.
The milk is breathing?
Yes. And then it speaks. Sie sagt mir, Verzehr, it says to me, consume.
Consume. Just consume. The living, breathing, magnetic, guilt-laden milk commands you to eat.
The most basic component gains sentience and issues a direct order. It really undermines any idea of the eater having free will in this.
It sounds like they're completely controlled by the breakfast.
And it extends even to the packaging. It's described as pulsieren the fleischige Farbe, pulsating like flesh-colored paint.
Pulsating like it has a heartbeat, and flesh-colored, the box is alive.
It blurs that line completely. Inanimate object, living tissue. It's all merging. The entire breakfast environment, shadows, milk, food, packaging seems disturbingly alive, sentient, and focused entirely on this act of consumption.
It's like the whole kitchen, the whole meal is this single malevolent organism.
That's a good way to put it. And this leads into the next stage, where the act of eating transcends even this weird sentience and becomes something profoundly ritualistic, almost religious, but in a very dark way.
A dark ritual. How does breakfast become a ritual?
The sources start using explicitly spiritual and ritualistic language, but twisting it. For example, the leftovers empties. They aren't just crumbs anymore.
The ones that made the face earlier.
Yes. Now they formen Runen im Staub, form runes in the dust.
Runes, like ancient magical symbols in the cereal dust.
Exactly. It suggests the remnants of the meal have some kind of arcane significance, that there are symbols and meanings left behind in the debris.
So the leftovers are part of the ritual's aftermath. What else?
Specific brands continue to have agency. Dr. Oetker's Crunchy schreit laut im Bauch. Dr. Oetker's Crunchy shouts loudly in the stomach.
The cereal is screaming inside you after you ate it.
That's the image, linking a specific brand to internal audible distress. It's not just digestion. It's a voice screaming from within.
Okay. Unpleasant. Any other brands involved?
Nestle gets mentioned too. Nestle ruft Geister aus grauer Zeit. Nestle calls ghosts from gray times.
Calling ghosts. From the past. So eating Nestle products summons specters.
It connects that brand to summoning these historical ghosts, linking modern consumption to perhaps collective trauma or a troubled past. The meal becomes a conduit.
This is getting really dark. Even the toast isn't safe, is it?
No, even the toast is complicit. Der Toast sagt nix, aber hört zu viel. The toast says nothing, but hears too much.
Here's too much, like it's eavesdropping on your thoughts.
Seems like it. It's a silent witness, but it absorbs everything. It speichert Gedanken auf Weißbrot-Profile, stores thoughts on white bread profiles.
It stores thoughts on a white bread profile, like a database of your mind on the toast.
It's a bizarrely digital metaphor, isn't it? The food is literally recording your inner life, archiving your thoughts.
Yeah.
Surveillance toast.
Surveillance toast. Okay, what about like butter or jam?
They're reacting too. Butter zittert, marmalade schreit, butter trembles, marmalade shouts, fear, distress, even in the condiments.
Everything's freaking out.
And the coffee. It's schwarz wie das Totenreich, black as the realm of the dead.
Black as death itself, so the whole table is just anxiety, screaming, ghost surveillance, and death.
Pretty much. And all this builds towards one of the most chilling lines in the entire text.
Okay, what is it?
Dein Frühstück kennt dich.
Yeah?
Es weiß, was du brauchst. Und wenn du es nicht isst, isst es dich auf. Your breakfast knows you. It knows what you need. And if you don't eat it, it eats you up.
It knows you, knows what you need, and if you don't eat it, it eats you.
Yes. It attributes this terrifying omniscience to the food. It understands your inner state, your needs, maybe your needs are destruction given the context, and it presents this inescapable trap. Consume or be consumed. Refusal means annihilation by the very thing you refuse.
There's no escape. You have to eat it or it eats you. That's an existential nightmare.
It is. And the act of eating becomes explicitly religious, but unholy. Pouring muesli is like pouring Weihrauch incense.
Incense, like in church, for muesli.
Yes, sanctifying the act, but within this dark context. And the individual Haferkorn betet, the oats pray, they perform an unheiliger Brauch, an unholy custom.
Unholy praying oats. Got it.
Another brand, Vitalis. Murmelt verses intact, murmurs verses in rhythm, like chanting, spells, a hypnotic recitation accompanying the consumption.
So the brands are actively participating in this unholy service.
It seems so. And the eater fully buys in. They kneel vor der Schüssel, before the bowl. The bowl becomes a Cerealienkreis, a cereal circle like a magic circle.
Kneeling before the cereal bowl.
And the tools gain new meaning. The Löffel als Scepter and Krunch als Schlüssel. The spoon is scepter and Krunch is key.
The spoon is a scepter, like royalty. And the crunching sound is a key. A key to what?
A scepter of power within this dark ritual. And the crunch. Maybe it unlocks the transformation, access to whatever this ritual leads to. The spoon that was bent language is now a symbol of corrupted authority.
This is incredibly layered. Where does this ritual finally lead?
It culminates in a statement that dissolves identity completely. Ich esse mein Ich. Ich esse dein Ich. Ich esse die Welt. Ich esse diese esse ich.
What?
I eat myself. I eat yourself. I eat the world. I eat I.
I eat myself. I eat you. I eat the world.
Yes. The consumption starts with the self, expands to others, then to all of reality. The repetition, ich esse ich, becomes this mantra of total absorption, total annihilation of boundaries. Eating the cereal becomes eating existence itself.
So the end point of this breakfast ritual is losing yourself completely, becoming part of this consuming void.
That's the terrifying implication. It's self-annihilation through consumption. A profound, dark transformation brought about by eating breakfast.
That's staggering. Going from cereal to consuming the self and the world. What happens after that? What's the aftermath described in the sources?
Well, the experience lingers. The sound of the kauen, the chewing, persists, but it's transformed. It's heard wie Glocken aus Schuld, like bells of guilt.
Bells of guilt. So the sound of chewing becomes this constant chiming reminder of the sin committed.
Something like that. A mournful, perhaps warning sound, echoing the burden of the ritual. And each bite taken wasn't just physical.
No. What else was it?
Each bite was eine Frage nach Maß und Geduld, a question of measure and patience.
A question, like a test of self-control and endurance.
Exactly. The act of eating was an interrogation, a challenge, implying failure had consequences. Each mouthful was a struggle.
Okay. And is there a sense of deception mentioned about the food itself?
Yes, very clearly there's a line. Die Verpackung glänzt, doch innen ist Dreck. The packaging shines, but inside is dirt.
Shiny outside, dirt inside. So the attractive promise is false. What you actually consume is filth, corruption.
It's a stark contrast. The appealing surface masks a harmful, impure core. A powerful metaphor for, well, many things perhaps.
And after all that eating the world, is the eater finally satisfied, full?
No, that's crucial. Ich esse und esse doch bin nie satt. I eat and eat, but am never full.
Never full, despite consuming everything.
There's a fundamental emptiness that this intense consumption fails to fill. It's a cycle without end, a hunger that can't be satisfied by the very thing driving
It's
it.
endless, empty consumption.
And connected to that, there's a sense of internal disharmony. Denn was fehlt ist ein Takt. Because what's missing is a rhythm beat.
The rhythm is gone, like the internal pulse of life is broken.
Exactly. The breakfast has thrown the eater out of sync, disrupted their fundamental internal structure, leaving them adrift, dissonant.
So the aftermath is guilt, emptiness, and internal chaos. What does the final scene look like?
It's dark. Absence and stillness. The Tisch ist leer, the table is empty, the violent ritual is over.
In the room, does it feel normal again?
Not quite. It riecht nach Licht, smells of light.
Smells of light, that's abstract. What could that mean? Sterile, cleansed, or just weirdly ethereal?
Hard to say. It's strange, non-physical. Maybe a residue of the supernatural intensity. And the spoon, the Sifterio.
How about it?
It lies still wie ein Grabgedicht, still like a grave poem.
Like an epitaph marking the death of something, the self that was eaten.
It certainly emphasizes finality, death, associated with the meal's end. The tool itself becomes a memorial.
And the living elements, the milk, the whisper.
Gone, keine Milch mehr, kein Flüstern im Raum. No more milk, no whispering in the room. Silence. The sentient presences have vanished.
Leaving a void.
Even the refrigerator, where it all started, is now wie ein leerer Traum, like an empty dream. Hollow, devoid of the earlier intensity or threat. Just emptiness.
Wow, what a bleak picture. How did the sources actually end?
They end with a final, provocative choice presented for the next day. It's directed right at the reader or the eater.
What's the choice?
Wenn du morgen aufwachst, iss nicht. Oder iss alles und werd, was du bist. When you wake up tomorrow, don't eat. Or eat everything and become what you are.
Don't eat. Or eat everything and become what you are. That's extreme. No middle ground.
None offered. It's total abstinence or total consumption leading to this transformation becoming what you are. A state seemingly defined or revealed only by consuming it all. It locks you into this binary.
And is that the very last thing?
Almost. The absolute final words confirm the transformation, speaking directly to the audience, to you. Danke, dass Sie mit uns gefrühstückt haben. Der Tag beginnt. Und Sie sind nicht mehr Sie selbst. Thank you for having breakfast with us. The day begins, and you are no longer yourself.
You are no longer yourself, just stated. The act is complete. Identity is lost or irrevocably changed. Chilling.
It confirms that this breakfast isn't just food. It's a fundamentally transformative, identity-altering experience.
Wow. That was quite the deep dive. Taking breakfast and turning it into this epic struggle with violence, guilt, sentience, dark rituals, and ultimately losing your identity. It's an incredible, unsettling use of metaphor.
It really is. These sources use such potent, often disturbing imagery, maybe exploring themes of, consumption in a wider sense, food, media, whatever, or addiction, the weight of memory, the pressure to conform, maybe.
Right.
All through the lens of a cereal bowl. The way everyday things, spoons, milk boxes, shadows get loaded with this dark energy and meaning is just, it's really striking. Makes you see the mundane very differently.
It definitely makes you pause and think about what we consume literally and figuratively and how it actually affects us. That line about the shiny packaging and the dirt inside, that feels very relevant. And the final idea that you're no longer yourself, that's a powerful thought about the consequences of what we internalize.
Absolutely. This dive into KRENC really shows how the most commonplace things can become containers for incredibly complex, unsettling ideas about our psychology, our society maybe, when seen through this intense metaphorical lens. The transformation isn't just in the food, it's in the eater.
It leaves you with a really provocative question, doesn't it? Echoing that final choice. What does it really mean to consume something, anything?
And maybe more pointedly, at what point does the thing you consume start consuming you, changing who you fundamentally are?
Yeah, something to definitely think about next time you're facing breakfast.
Indeed. Maybe it gives a new perspective on whether to just dig in.
Well, thanks for joining us for this rather intense deep dive. We hope it gave you a new, maybe disturbing, but certainly unforgettable perspective on
breakfast.